Hello, welcome back to Evil Genius Props. My name is Mike and I'll be your Evil Genius for today. What we are doing today is finishing up making the Captain America shield. We already made a finished version uh, previously. That link will be up here, I think. And what we're going to do is take that shield and make it look a little battle damaged and worn as opposed to bright and shiny and new. So first things we're going to do is just sort of weather it up a little bit and then put on the final coating to give it that finished look. So let's go over to the bench and get more started. All right, so this is the shield, and like I said, we did this already in another video. We're going to clean it up and then work on adding some battle damage to it. There is an auction from Heritage Auctions, I believe. No, it's Prop Store, of a battle damaged version of the shield. We're not going to recreate it entirely, but we are going to use that as sort of a starting point for it. So some dings of the paint scraped off, some black spots. But first things first is clean it up. There's still some residue from the paint, or not from the paint, from the tape that we want to get off first. Don't want to use alcohols. I don't want to pull up any of the paint. But here's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to use a little bit of alcohol on my brag here, my shop towel, so I can control where that is and try to get it off just the bare metal parts. See if that works at all. I'm not super worried about if it's leaving a mark, because that might actually just be rust, not residue. But because we're going to age it, but I'd still rather not have there be rust on it or residue. Okay, so this is roughly our inspiration piece, and you can see there's just some dings and some black spots there, so we're going to sort of imitate those and rub off some of the paint in some places and then put some black around it to look like bullet hits, things like that. So that's why I'm not too worried about there being marks on the bare metal. So next thing we're going to do is take off some of the paint using some acetone, which is why in the original video I didn't seal this over with clear coat, because I was coming back for this. And as with all times I'm using acetone, I'm stealing cleaning supplies from my wife's nail collection. So we've got some cotton balls, some cotton swabs, and some 100% acetone. And again, we're not trying to recreate this. I feel like they didn't even necessarily recreate this from one shield to the next, but use it as more inspiration for what those bullet hits look like on it. Now the risk with doing like these is it looks like the paint just failed there, but we're going to hit that with some black on the outside. Now one other thing that it has is some scratches. And I think what we'll do is, rather than use the acetone here, grab a very precision instrument to do that with, a screwdriver, and just sort of not gonna lie, this kind of hurts to do because I really like the way this paint came out. All right, that's our battle damage on it. Our next step is simply adding a little bit of black wash in here. And first, before we do that, we're gonna do a little bit of black with the the airbrush. I need to plug in my compressor. Trying some micro mark paints. I just sort of wanted to get a large collection of airbrush paints. Didn't really know what I wanted, but everything I kept finding was like $30 for 6 paints versus Micromark had a set of what, 18, 16 plus thinner paints, and it was like $25, so it was enough to sort of let me try some out and see how they worked. All right, happy with that. There's a little bit, not too much showing up, but enough to make it clear what we're doing here. And then our next step is going to be to apply a bit of sort of some wash over it for weathering. Got a little bit of a black wash. I'm just going to apply it in a few places, and I sort of like that it's very thin like this because we're going to wipe off parts of it. You know what I might want to try here? Still have the cotton balls I stole from my wife. And really what we're trying to do is basically tell a story with the hits here. So we want it to look a little bit explosion-y, shall we say? I feel like maybe these are working well together, so I lay it on with the brush and sort of I'm gonna let that dry, finish drying at least, and I'm going to hit it with at least one clear coat now, just to help clean it off, or protect it, seal it. And then the next step really is going to be a lot more clear coats. Basically the plan is to get an entire can of satin and do the whole thing. And just cover it and get it nice and thick, and then work from there. Alright, battle damage is applied, and we're just going to start applying a whole bunch of satin clear. I'm not too worried about what brand it is. I didn't want to get like the worst brand, but I also didn't need like the expensive stuff. That being said, we're just going to basically use the rest of this can, which I bought specifically for this, and just did a couple coats on the back to keep it from rusting, but we're going to do the rest of the can on the front, and then with that be able to sort of sand it down. But we're going for like the thickness of automotive clear coat basically. So we're going to use a whole lot of this on the front just to keep it protected. That's it. I'm going to let this dry and cure, and then we'll go over some wet sanding and cleaning it up, and why that's necessary. Alright, the clear coats have dried and cured for about 24 hours. The next step is to wet sand this. I'll admit, while I was doing this, I'm like, why would I wet sand this? Why would I do anything else to this? It looks great as I'm doing it. But then I could see there's like a texture now to the paint from the various levels of the clear coat. I'll put in some B-roll here so you can see. You can see that it's not smooth, and it's got kind of an automotive finish. They call it an orange peel. So we're just going to wet sand this down, which is spray it with some water and use some 1500 sandpaper, and just knock that down. I don't want to be careful I don't go through the clear coat, but with 1500 it would take an awful lot to get through, but I still don't want to risk it too much. I'm going to try and kind of go with the brush look that we already have on here as well, just to be on the safe side. But that's our next step, and then once we get that done, we'll take a look at it and see where we go from there. Even just that quick amount really helped. The only thing is now is we've taken off, it's not exactly shiny, and if you look very carefully at the shields, especially if you can see a bunch of them together, is that they're not shiny. There is like a luster to them, but not a gloss, if that makes any sense at all. So we don't want it to be shiny, but there is a depth to it. So we've done this, we've taken off the shine. Now we need to add some more of that depth. And granted, most of that's been done just with the satin finish that we've again sort of smoothed out, but we want to bring back some of that. Honestly, the next part, and a lot of this painting this shield is kind of like treating it like automotive finish. Like the spray paint that I used is automotive. We put on a very thick clear coat. So our next step is to polish it, and again we're going to use automotive type finishes for that. So our next step, though, like I said, is just to hit that with some automotive paint polish, and that should be pretty much it. Alright, so since we've taken off the shine and done the wet sanding, there's a bunch of little scratches, which is why it's more satin look. So we're going to take some polishing compound and an old t-shirt and work on polishing this back up. Again, we want a luster, not a shine. You can see a little bit the difference between where we've done it already and where we haven't. Our next step, we'll clean this off really nice, just to make sure that we got all of the polishing compound off. And then actually car wax. Like I said, we're sort of treating this finish more like a car than a regular paint job. So that's going to be next. It's all nice and smooth again. So we're just going to now put a little bit of that sheen back to it and give it that luster. So we're going to do that with basically car wax. This is cleaning wax in this case. which again sort of helps with the little micro scratches and such. And when I said we're treating this just like car finish, we are using car wax, car applicators, and microfiber towels, basically just treating it like car finish. So you can see the wax part versus part of the wax still on it, and you can just see it is noticeably, again, not necessarily shiny, but glossy. I don't know if that's right, but it has that depth to it. Gonna call that good. Again, nice shine. You don't have that orange peel texture to it. So yeah, really happy with this. Happy with how it turned out. Now I just want to make all the shields. I want to do a Captain Carter. I want to do an end game. One of the damaged end games. There's a stealth shield that he has in the beginning of Winter Soldier. Just make all the shields now. But yeah, this is fun. It's easy, comparatively speaking. The thing that takes the most time, just the whole process, is removing the old paint and then getting the new paint exactly how you want it. But it's definitely possible. It's definitely something you can do at home. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it and maybe even learned something. But please like and subscribe. And if you want to see more, there are playlists for Marvel builds and Halloween builds. All right. Again, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. And we'll see you next time.